Good evening and salutations, my YNR fans. Phyllis is doing too much. Phyllis is doing way too much. Okay. This scene between Phyllis and Nikki was so stupid. Okay. These women are in like their late 40s, maybe 50s at this point. Tell me why this chick, Phyllis, ran in Nikki's, walked in Nikki's place like, ooh, I got something to tell you about Diane. Oh, it's going to be so juicy. And she's like, oh, yeah, please tell me the details. I'm just like, are y'all like in the 50s or are y'all like 16? Because I'm genuinely confused by this whole scene. I mean, they were so giddy about finding any little, oh, well, Phyllis, what it, one of them was like, I don't know if this was, no, this was Phyllis. Phyllis was like, and I saw Diane crying, and Nikki was like, really? And I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Somebody says that she's crying, and you two idiots are sitting there laughing at her. Oh my goodness, it's the best thing ever. Oh my goodness, this was like the. I mean, this is why I am having such a hard time trying to understand why people are liking this Diane story. Especially in the beginning, it's like, oh my goodness, Diane story, like, so great. It's so great having her back and having Phyllis and Nikki and Ashley go after her. This is so great. I'm like, this is the stupidest thing I've seen so far in a soap opera. And I've been watching soap operas since, well, high school. Okay? I've been watching soap operas since high school, and I've seen some really dumb pettiness. But this may actually be over the top. Okay? The fact that Phyllis took a job working for her daughter when she was her own boss, and now she has to report and get approvals from her daughter because she wants to take down Diane that badly over stuff that happened, what, when I was like 10? Like, so they're talking, about Diane, and Nikki's like, oh, well, that's not enough. Can you get more? Can you sit there and press harder? Get some more juicy info. And I'm just like, this is so stupid. This is so stupid. And towards the end, Phyllis, like the immature child that she is, decides to get all up in Phyllis, get all up in the Diane's face. It's like, oh, I saw what happened yesterday, and I want to make sure that you're okay, and that, like, I saw you crying and everything like that. I'm like, girl, you honestly think that she wants you in a 10 yard radius of her? Why are you up in her face for? That is just so obnoxious. And the thing is, it's not even so much like I'm rooting for Diane, I like Diane, or anything like that in between. But, well, one, I'm not a fan of bullying. And two, this is just beyond petty and stupid. Especially when you realize that these three women, what, y'all have nothing else better to do? You don't have businesses to run, children, grandchildren. I mean, one of them has a husband. You'd think that would be enough. No, 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 no. I feel like I need to occupy my time with getting in Diane's face, not spoiling the grandchildren, not going on date night with my husband or taking care of business. No, 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 that's clearly not important enough. I need to get back at Diane because the framing and stuff like that. The stuff that happened like 30 something years ago. Yeah, that's pretty much what I think of that story. And I know this been saying that often in the live streams and stuff, but since this story is continuing, I'm going to continue to talk about just how stupid this part of the story is. Now, Diane meets up with Tucker. Well, Diane is kind of chilling by herself. Tucker sees her just chilling. He walks up and Diane's like, yeah, I told everything. I told everything to Jack. I had to get ahead of this story. Tucker's like, you do know that you telling the truth is not going to absolve you, is not going to put you in a better light. They're still going to hate you. You know, this changes nothing. And now you just, well, you inconvenience my life. On top of the fact that she still does have information that can put her, you know, behind bars. Now, they go back and forth for a little bit, and he's just like, you know, at this point, you become a liability to me. So, I mean, at this point, what do you think that rich and powerful people do to other people that become a liability to them? Now, Ashley is sitting there talking to Jack, and Jack gives her information. Well, Jack sits there and tells Ashley about Diane and all the stuff that she went through with that guy, and you know, being blackmailed by that guy, then being blackmailed by Tucker. 1 second. So yeah, you know, Jack tells her about you know the blackmailing and all the stuff that she had to go through, and you know, he did sit there and say that you know, listen, you, Phyllis, and Nikki were right. You know, you're right all along. You know what Ashley says? She says something that no one wants to hear, even when they are wrong about something. I told you so. Ashley, how old are you again? I want to make sure I get all this stuff, like, you know, right. 'Cause, that sounds extremely immature, but okay, sure. Um, you know, at this point, Jack was like, I don't know how to feel, you know, because it's a terrible situation to be under one person's thumb, doing stuff against your will, just to have to be under somebody else's thumb, doing the exact same thing. He's like, I don't know how to feel. Now there's a point where he does have a flashback of you know, him encouraging her, you know, listen, move forward. You know, everything's out in the open. You got this gracious past or whatever, make the most out of it. And you know, them kissing. So I don't know what to make out of that. Like, I really don't. Um Now apparently it's date night with Abby and Chance. They head to Noah's new club and they're hanging out, chilling, and they run into Devon. And apparently Devon apologizes to both of them for fighting, you know, having a fight in front of them with Nate, and just kind of talked about how things aren't really good with Nate and stuff. He doesn't really want to get into the details. Now Chance gets a call. He gets a text from his job, and he's like, "Hey, you know, I got to go to the crime scene." And, you know, Abby is kind of upset. She's like, oh, well, this is what happens when I decide to marry a detective. And when he leaves, she's like, well, keep me company because, you know, clearly Chance is prioritizing work over his family. I'm like, you idiot. In the same breath, you just said, this is, you know, this is what I signed up for, you know, married to a detective. Oh, you know, you're putting work in front of your family. I'm like, girl, listen, I don't know. I don't care how many zeros you have in your bank account. I felt like I would have either laid down the law on her or just would have walked out because she just comes across as a nag, as an annoying nag. Especially I seen when she was sitting there running his breakfast. He was like, you know, what, I'm just gonna go to work early because I don't feel like dealing with you. Um, don't ever ruin my breakfast. just just don't do that. You know, just don't. Just things that I take sacred. That is one of three. There's one of three things that I take sacred. Um, but anyway, Devon decides to keep her company and talk about the fight with Devon. I mean, with Nate and everything. And one of the things he was saying was that, when he had it out with Nate, he was saying something that bothered him, something that Nate said, as far as, Neil and, him not really able to really move the company forward because, or not treating somebody else as an equal because no one else can sit there and live up to the expectations of Neil. He felt like by doing stuff like that, it was holding back the company. It really got to him because even Abby was like, do you think that he's right on some sort of level? And I sort of look in his eyes when Nate said that. When Nate was like, listen, you won't let nobody come up with an idea or anything like that, or move it in a certain way because you're still stuck on the ideals, and you know I don't exactly remember how you put it, but pretty much he was like, you can't move forward with the company or anything like that. You don't see people as an equal because they're not measuring up to him, and it's holding you back in your business, in your business world. Now, on some extent, he might have had a point, and I think even Devon realizes that he might have been right. But also, I'm just like, bro, listen, this is coming from somebody who has less business experience than him, which in all reality is like, you're not even qualified to say a remark like that to Devon. You're not on his level when it comes to his business. So the fact that he had the gall to sit there and say something like that, whether it's true or not, it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. It's really irrelevant. That's like me telling somebody else who makes more money than me. Well, see, you're never really going to sit there and you're really bad with your finances and stuff like that because, you do this, that, and the third. And I'm like, they can do all the stuff in the world that they want. They make more money than me. I'm not qualified to sit there and tell somebody else how to handle their money when they make more money than me. Okay? That's the truth. That is the truth. The Lily and Billy scenes were, I mean, all Billy was doing was encouraging Lily, like, hey, listen, you're good at your job. Um, he wanted to take her out and do something nice because he was like, listen, when I tell Joe that I'm leaving, well, there's going to be a lot of backlash. So we should have a good night and dinner it up and dance it up and everything like that because when Monday morning comes, it's going to be really, really bad. But also, Lily was kind of worried because when Billy is idle. That's when Billy gets into trouble. You know, there's a saying about idle hands are the devil's play instruments or something like that. I don't exactly remember how that saying goes, but she's just worried like, yo, listen, I don't need you to get in trouble because you're not doing anything. I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, well, why don't you just go back to the podcast? He seemed like he was having a good time doing that. Why don't you just go back to doing that? I mean, I feel like the fans, every time it was start up was seeing him doing a podcast, which like at least for me, I was just like, this is kind of dumb. I think he actually did one podcast or one episode. It was one part where he was doing that was actually good, but I don't know. I don't feel like the fans actually want that back again. So I don't know what he's gonna do. I mean, I'm not opposed to the idea if they make it fun and I mean, Chelsea still doing a podcast, or what is she doing? What's going on with that? And then again, it's just so odd. I'm like, Billy, you're like 47 years old, and you're sitting there telling your girlfriend, who you haven't married yet, that you don't know what you want to do with your life. What grown woman actually wants to hear that? I don't care how good this man looks. Okay, no grown woman wants to hear from a significant other who is of a certain age and is like, I don't really want to do the business world. I haven't found my passion yet. Bro, you're like 40 something years old with kids. Did I miss something? Like, I think that's what I just find so funny about their whole relationship. That it's just like, bro, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, seriously, what are you doing? Oh, Jack is also okay with Ashley getting information on Tucker, and towards the end of the episode, they run into Ashley. Both of them run into Ashley, and of course they run into Tucker. And Billy's like, "Yo, you serious? You hanging out with this dude? What's the matter with you?" So Billy's like, listen, good luck with that. And Tucker's like, "Well, I'm just so happy that you gave me a chance." And Ashley's like, "Listen, I need you to tell me everything about Diane and LA. I want to hear it from start to finish." And I'm not gonna lie, when she was like, um, when she was like, "Do it slow," I was like, I know what she meant by that, but I'd be lying if I didn't sit there and say that was kind of hot the way she said it. I don't know. I kind of have a thing for Ashley. I mean, sometimes when she talks, she says things, and I'm just like, "Oh, come on, really? Why did you have to open up your mouth?" Then when she says things like that, I'm just like, "Oh, okay." Um, it's just like I just forget about some of the dumb things that come out of her mouth, and I'm just like, "Damn, that was kind of hot." Just saying. I feel like that's about it. But, it just makes me think. I'm just like, well, which episode was better, Y&R or GH? Because when you really look at it, Y&R, there wasn't really a lot that happened. But at the same time, I felt like they didn't insult people's intelligence. As opposed to GH, which, you had some stuff that was going on, at least with the Anna stuff. But then they insult your intelligence by not once mentioning Alex. So it's like, how do I sit there and tell people which one to watch first? I mean, I guess you could sit there and just do flip a coin, but I don't know. I guess in some ways, probably watch Y&R. Watch Y&R. That's what I was sit there and say. Watch Y&R. At least they're not going to insult you in your intelligence in this episode. In this episode, I can't sit there and say about tomorrow or the next day. Oh, also, Chance did come back. He got somebody else to cover, and so he made Abby happy, and I'm just like, ugh, whatever. I'm like, that woman is not going to truly be happy. She's going to find something to whine and complain and make sure that he has a headache. And oof, it's just, I couldn't be married to somebody like that. I really could. Anyway, with that being said, I think that's actually going to do it. So yeah, with that being said, I'm going to go. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Actually, I almost forgot my outro. All right.